Are you ready for some romance?
Bring it on.
Then take the plunge. All the feels. And all the funnies.
It's like a unicorn.
All in one place.
I could dive right in to get in on all the action.
Perfect. Go straight to great with BritBox.
Hello once again, and you're watching UTV's analysis of the Assembly election vote 22. We still don't have any results yet, but we are able to speak to the leader of the SDLP, the MP for Foyle, Colm Eastwood, who joins us from the Count Centre in Mariville. Good afternoon to you, Mr Eastwood. What are your first impressions?
Hey, Paul. Well, I mean, it's been a seismic election on a number of fronts. The Alliance Party have clearly done very well, particularly in the East, and Sinn Féin have done enormously well with the nationalist vote. I think in the last days of this campaign, the issue of around the First Minister really came home to people. People just didn't like being told by Jeffrey Donaldson that a nationalist couldn't hold the First Minister's post. That galvanised people to go out and vote for Sinn Féin, and I think frankly, we're being squeezed as a result.
By how much then would you believe that you're suffering as a result of this?
I think we're suffering quite a lot. You know, we're in fights that we shouldn't be in, and we're not going to get some of the seats that we should be getting. But that's politics.
In what constituencies?
Made the decision.
In what constituencies are you talking about there being those fights?
Well, I really don't want to get into that, Paul, because I'm very conscious that people are still scrapping for seats, and our people are very transfer friendly, and I want to let them finish the count. It's going to be a long day. I mean, I think we may have some surprises, but it'll be a long day, and there's a lot of counting to be done yet. I don't think we have a first count anywhere, so let's let that happen. But look, it's clear that many nationalists have lent their vote to
Is your
Sinn
minister
Féin.
in North Belfast, Nicola Mallon, is she in trouble?
She's in a huge fight, you know, and it's very unfair, really, because Nicola is one of the best constituency workers I know, a fantastic minister, and someone who cares deeply about North Belfast, and I think she's in a big scrap there, and it's just sometimes the tide is against you, and it feels very much that people, particularly nationalist people, wanted to send a message that they weren't going to be treated like that by the DUP, and many of our voters have gone to Sinn Féin in this election, and it's understandable in a way, and we get it, but it's difficult for individual candidates.
If we have a Sinn Féin First Minister, if it is Michelle O'Neill, where does that plot the direction of the body politic?
Well, of course, I've been saying for some time we've had a nationalist First Minister since 1998, and the DUP and Sinn Féin have been running the place jointly for 15 years. We'll see what it means. I think we've ticked that box now in terms of history making. What we need to get back to, in my view, is actually governing and doing the things that people need us to do for them. We need to deal with the cost of living crisis, deal with the health waiting lists. That's something for next week, but right now it doesn't look like we're going to even have a government next week, which I think is very unfortunate.
Colm Eastwood, thank you very much indeed, and thank you for bringing us up to date with the situation that is facing you and the SDLP. Deirdre Heenan, he's being very sanguine there, is he not, about all of this? I mean, they've lost votes to Sinn Féin because they want a nationalist First Minister.
Well, I think that's part of it, no doubt. But I think also there's no love lost between Sinn Féin and the SDLP. And Sinn Féin would say that the SDLP attacks on them has turned off the electorate as well, and they would argue that the SDLP didn't really make it clear what they stood for. What do they stand for in 2022? Why would you vote for the SDLP? What is their unique policy position? But Colm is clearly deflated because, as we know, they have brought in good candidates. They are in a number of fights. They look as if they're in trouble in Upper Bann. They look as if they're in trouble in South Down. So he will be thinking, yes, of course, but there are a number of explanations.
And Tracy, being a government minister is no guarantee that you will get back.
Absolutely, and this is definitely very damaging for the party. Nicola Mallon has a very good reputation at Stormont. There was received wisdom that Nuala McAllister was going to win this seat. She came so close the last time, but most people believed that it would be the second Sinn Féin, it would be Carol McCullen, that would lose her seat. I don't think anybody realistically thought that Nicola Mallon would be the casualty here. It's very, very damaging.
The SDLP weren't doing well in the polls, but I'm not sure that people saw it quite like this, Peter Sherlock.
The polls that we did with the Irish News, one of the things we found was that a lot of the, when we looked at this over a period of time, so there was a jump 2017, 2019 from the DUP, who actually went to the Alliance. What we were seeing this time was nationalists who were going over to the Alliance, most certainly in terms of second preferences, etc. You have to wonder about the future for the SDLP in one way, because Sinn Féin arrives like a big tree that blocks out the light. And then all of a sudden Alliance Party's just arrived as a growing tree. And you've got to realise, they were fighting on one side, but now they're actually fighting in two.
And also to the question about, was it wise to not stand a candidate in the Westminster election? OK, that got John Finucane over the line, but they lost presence. Alliance did stand.
Can I ask you, I wasn't hearing everything that you said there. There was a bit of talk going on in my ear, but the question I was asking was, is this a price being paid by Nicola Mallon for the SDLP not standing in the general election in North Belfast?
It could be a real difficulty for them, because if you're not there, you're not on the doorsteps, you're not putting yourself in front of the electorate, well then yes, you lose your profile. Alliance stood, and maybe that might have helped them in this case.
Claire Bailey, South Belfast, you lose profile.
That's right.
You have to always be in the media. It's the way in which Sinn Féin and the DUP rose during the time of the collapse in 2003. They were never off the media. They were always relevant to people. They were there. And if you do, as Tracy says, you disappear for any short period of time, you become less relevant. But this is a game of being relevant.
It is, but also we've spoken before about the Ulster Unionist Party losing votes to the Alliance. What is quite clear is the SDLP are losing votes to the Alliance, and they don't seem to have any answer for it. People are looking for for policy around climate change, around the economy, and there seems to be a move away from 2 large blocs to 3 minorities. That is what we are witnessing here.
If I can just say something very quickly. The unionist community have clearly decided at a point, many of them decided they would not vote to simply keep the other side out. And there's now a section of nationalism that is going in the same direction.
And certainly the DUP would tell you during the campaign, if you like, the Alliance Party had almost maxed out their vote with the unionist community, that was lost in 2017. They felt very strongly that if Alliance was making gains, it would be more on the national side, and it would appear that that is the case.
But there was also a certain complacency that the Alliance were the leafy suburbs of Belfast, really not relevant in the West, not relevant in South Down. That has been challenged and proven to be untrue.
And in 2003 nearly wiped out. They got their 3 or 4 over the line, the fifth count.
As I said, there is plenty of opportunity to talk about this once the results begin to come through and we can see the direction of travel there. But we're now going to take a look at the constituencies of Lagan Valley and North Down. They're being counted at Ulster University at Jordanstown. Paul Riley is there for us. Paul, how is Lagan Valley looking for the DUP leader?
Well, as you can imagine, Paul, all eyes on Sir Geoffrey Donaldson here in Lagan Valley. He's looking to make a return to the Assembly. He's the sitting MP, and as you could imagine, he has polled very well. I believe he's got more than a quota. Now, he was here from early doors watching those boxes being overturned. But you'll remember the DUP decided not to field 3 candidates in Lagan Valley, so that should secure that second seat for the former First Minister Paul Givan. Of course, throughout the campaign in Lagan Valley, the DUP will have been looking over their shoulder at the rising star within the Alliance Party, that's Saoirse Eastwood. I believe she's polled very well, but it seems the Alliance has managed to manage its vote. Saoirse Eastwood might not make it through in that first count, but that will should ensure that she brings along her running mate David Honeyford, and he would be in a bit of a fight for that 5th seat. Looking at the Ulster Unionist Party, it's sounding like a bad day for the party overall, but a good day for Robbie Butler. The sitting MLA looks set to hold his seat. I believe he's polled very well and might make it through on the first count. So it comes down to that 5th seat, and what I'm being told is Alliance isn't a shoe-in. Pat Catney, the outgoing MLA from SDLP, still in with a shot. He's very transfer friendly. You might remember in 2017, Pat Catney was at the count, then left because he thought it was all over and then had to come back again. So we may see that unfold at Lagan Valley later.
Well, let's move on to the constituency of North Down. Alex Easton, last time out, he was a DUP candidate. He's left the party since then and is standing as an independent. Will that cost the DUP a seat?
Well, it looks like Alex Easton has polled very well. In fact, I'm being told he's very likely to have topped the poll, and that's going to be a disruption for the DUP. There are two candidates. It looks like they may only secure one of those seats. I'm being told that this might be Alex Easton's best election ever. The other story here in North Down is Alliance. You'll remember they have the sitting MP, Stephen Farry. They polled very well in 2019, and the party's now telling me they're very optimistic of securing 2 seats in North Down. So a seat there for the outgoing MLA Andrew Muir and potentially Connie Egan. But who's the casualty there? Well, it looks like the Green Party's Rachel Woods might lose her seat. But remember, the nationalist vote sometimes transfers to the Green Party, and also independents here in the mix who could also transfer to Rachel Woods. So that 5th seat, not definite yet, but it's looking like 2 for Alliance, 1 independent unionist, 1 DUP, and Alan Chambers potentially holding on to that seat for the Ulster Unionist Party. But again, we've had no definite results, but that's what I'm hearing here in North Down.
Thank you very much indeed, Paul Riley. Tracy McGee, 2 seats for Alliance in North Down?
Yes, indeed. And, you know, the Greens have had a presence in North Down for quite some time, so this will be a blow for the party. Obviously, Stephen Farry had that storming election result in Westminster, and now we were talking about profile. This seems to be one of the benefits for them. North Down is absolutely fascinating because, it has a history of electing, independent, maverick, unionist politicians. But Alex Easton, very much seen from the DUP fold, could he do it on his own? He's a very hard-working politician. I think that has stood him in good stead. And it just goes to show not many people know who Alex Easton is. I think probably those pictures that we've shown might be the first time people actually have seen him. And yet, in his own constituency, he has done the work.
And a hard worker on the ground, Peter Sherlock.
And somebody who got fed up with what was going on in the DUP and got fed up with the way Edmund was treated, the way Arlene was treated. And it's interesting, if this is right, this is biggest vote ever, which shows that dissatisfaction, RHI, all of the rows and fights, the protocol stuff with the DUP. And of course, what happens, which I very much doubt this, but if the DUP and Sinn Féin are sitting neck and neck, he is literally going to be the person whose phone is going to ring most next week, because he could be. I don't think this will happen.
As Enoch Powell famously said, there's no such thing as an independent, because whenever that call comes, which way are you going to go?
Well, I think what is clear is that the DUP in their calculations have always considered Alex Easton their +1.
Yeah.
He is up their sleeve that if Hardy comes to Hardy and they really do need the seat allocation, they know they can count on him.
Is he up the sleeve of the DUP still in that case?
Oh, I absolutely think he is. I have no doubt, if we're in for a tight race, that there will be a phone call, discussions will go on, and I would not be at all surprised to see him return to the fold within a week.
I don't even think it will take that long.
No, it has to be within a week, but I mean, it seems obvious. He's made his point and he's coming back with a personal vote. All it demonstrates to me is that all politics is local. And on the ground, he is a hard worker and he is able to attract the votes. And for that very reason, the DUP need him. They will want him back. And they will then, I think, have to talk about, because remember when they had those leadership elections, they talked about reforming the structures. They talked about saying that people needed to ensure that their voices were heard. As far as I know, nothing has happened. So perhaps he can come back saying, look, I actually proved my point. Here it is. And what is going to change? And if I am unhappy, then something's got to give.
Thank you very much indeed, panel. Now we're going to go back to Magherafelt, to the Count Centre there. Gareth Wilkinson is keeping a close eye on what's happening in not 1, not 2, but 3 constituencies for us. And they are Newry and Armagh, Upper Bann. But we start with Mid-Ulster, the constituency of the Sinn Féin Vice President, Michelle O'Neill. And how is it looking for Michelle O'Neill this Friday afternoon, Gareth?
Well, Paul, you're right. All eyes on Michelle O'Neill here in Magherafelt. Can she be First Minister? Well, she's going to have to win in her own constituency of Mid-Ulster first, and it has to be said it's going to be something of a coronation in this constituency for Michelle O'Neill. Sinn Féin are confident that not only will she top the poll, that she'll smash through the quota here, and it's likely that she'll bring her running mates Linda Dillon and Emma Sheeran over the line pretty quickly along with her too. So a good day here in the Count Centre for Michelle O'Neill. If of course, we haven't even had a first count here yet, but that is the way things seem to be shaping up in Mid-Ulster. Keith Buchanan of the DUP in the constituency, he's sitting pretty comfortably. And Patsy McGlone of the SDLP, of course, he's been a Stormont for a long, long time, and it looks like he will most likely return there. He hasn't polled as well as maybe as he would like, but a few considered him to be under pressure. So it looks like the status quo in terms of the party lineup will remain in Mid-Ulster. In Upper Bann now, it's all to play for. Of course, that is the constituency where Doug Beattie is contesting as UUP leader for the very first time. He'll be keen to see how his brand of unionism goes down in his own doorstep. And it has to be said, and we're getting conflicting reports here in the Count Centre today, but it seems as if Doug Beattie could be under a little bit of pressure. Certainly it hasn't been a great day for the UUP elsewhere. It's not been a comfortable Count Centre for Doug Beattie here today either. Some reports that he's even struggling to pull ahead of his running mate Glenn Barr. You know, this is a constituency that's packed full of big political beasts. You can't expect more than likely a high-profile candidate. What's really set the cat amongst the pigeons in Upper Bann is the emergence of the Alliance candidate Owen Tennyson. Now, he's remaining tight-lipped, but many people think that he's on course to make a breakthrough, that he's only 23 years of age. He's very, very young, but it looks like he could well take a seat, and that means somebody else is going to lose out. Diane Dodds, of course, is here for the DUP. I don't think they're too concerned about Diane Dodds or her running mate Jonathan Buckley. The person who seems to be under most pressure in Upper Bann right at this moment is Dolores Kelly of the SDLP. Can I just put a health warning on everything I said there, because as I said, we have no official figures and no first count yet, but that seems to be the way that things are shaping up. I'll just talk about Sinn Féin actually as well. Sinn Féin feel that they've performed extremely strongly in Upper Bann. John O'Dowd is assured of his seat, but they feel that they might in fact get two across the line, and their candidate Liam Mackle, well, he might well be in what could be a big fight for the 5th seat.
Thank you very much indeed for that analysis, Gareth, and indeed for the health warning, because at this stage in the afternoon we have no declarations anywhere. So it's all 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. But that will change as we continue through the afternoon. Tracy McGee, did Doug Beattie think that he would have the uncertain day that he's having?
Well, Doug Beattie didn't have plain sailing last time out either, but at that time his running mate was Joanne Dobson. The difficulty for Doug Beattie is his brand of unionism does not fit easily in the constituency that he finds himself in Upper Bann. I think that is a difficulty for him. Now, I know that people are talking up the fact that Doug Beattie could lose his seat. That's not what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that he will manage to get over the line.
Now, also in that constituency, Dolores Kelly, who is under pressure again and again and again. Can she survive this time?
Well, it was widely predicted that she would be under pressure, that she would be in a dogfight for the 5th seat. It looks like Diane Dodds is safer than predictors thought she would be, but it will be. I think it will be difficult for Dolores to hold that seat. Banbridge.
But I mean, Dolores Kelly and Diane Dodds, they're both seasoned operators in that. You know, Diane Dodds previously was an MEP. She was an MLA in West Belfast too, so they know what it's all about.
Oh no, they know what it's all about. But I think if you look at the rise of the Alliance in that constituency, it's fascinating. There has been an Alliance presence in the council. We've had David Griffin for a long time, but I think this is one that Alliance has targeted, and it may be at the expense of the SDLP, which may be a pattern that will begin to emerge across a number of these 5th seats. So I would imagine the SDLP are very worried about Dolores Kelly, and the worry will come from the Alliance that they will make the breakthrough in Upper Bann.
OK, and Peter Sherlock. The Alliance thing, maybe. I think that it goes back to Tracy's
Might that
point.
be a step too far?
No, but I think it's because, as Tracy hinted, Upper Bann is basically DUP Sinn Féin territory. The point about Banbridge is interesting. A lot of people have moved out of Belfast. So basically the problem for the Alliance candidate might get a good first preference, but where do the transfers come from?
We're just about to get our first declaration, I believe, so let's go to the account centre.
0865. The quota is 6,811. 6811. The number of first preference votes given for each candidate was as follows: Keely Armstrong, Alliance Party, 7,015, 7015. Stephen Cooper, TUV No Sea Border, 5,186, 5186. Harry Harvey, Democratic Unionist Party DUP, 4,704, 4704. Connor Houston, SDLP, Social Democratic and Labour Party, 2,440, 2440. Ben King, Independent, 118, 118. Maurice McCartney, Green Party Northern Ireland, 831. Nick Matheson, Alliance Party, 2,822, 2822. Russia McGurvan, Sinn Féin, 1,607, 1607. Michelle Elizabeth McIlvin, Democratic Unionist Party DUP, 6,601, 6601. Mike Nesbitt, Ulster Unionist Party, 3,693, 3693. Philip Smith, the Ulster Unionist Party, 2,535, 2535. And Peter James Weir, Democratic Unionist Party, DUP, 3,313, 3313. The following candidate has reached the quota and is deemed elected. Keely Armstrong.
Elected there, and she is elected on the first count there. We will discuss the figures and the breakdown in the Strangford constituency after this short break. Do stay with us.